It's been a while. Welcome back to Future Fiber. This is your host, Jenny, and this is a channel where we talk about all the crafty things that I do. It's mostly knitting. Today we have another podcast episode where I update you all on some of my knitting projects, the progress on them, the review on them. This year has been a little bit of a disaster. I got a lot of stuff going on in my personal life. So, yeah, we're battling that and trying to knit at the same time. Since the last podcast episode, it probably has been about 2 months. And during that time, I haven't really cast on anything new. Maybe that's false actually. However, most of it I've been kind of spending trying to finish up projects that I have on my needles currently, because I don't really have the brain space to start another project. And all the projects that I do want to start are kind of more complex. They have a little bit more going on. And I also want to talk about that at the end, but maybe we just go through all the finished stuff and the updates on what I've been working on. So we do have a finished object. I was kind of waiting to film this until I had something, because yeah, it's not really that fun watching just incremental, minute progress on things. So I wanted to have something that I could actually talk about, and I do feel like I have a lot to share about this project. So the first finished object is the Cloud Blouse by Petite Knit, and I finished this while I was on a trip in Los Angeles, having all that plane time, East Coast, West Coast, 5.5 hours on a plane. Very good time to be used on finishing a project. I was able to finish this on the trip. I actually blocked this on the trip, and I actually wore it on the trip. So that was super fun and cool. However, I did have a couple of mishaps with this project. The Cloud Blouse, I knitted the size medium. These are the yarns that I used. It's this very Kelly green yarn, hand-dyed spun yarn from HelloMello Handspun. And I believe this is a limited edition thing, so you probably can't get it anymore. But I feel like Kelly green is a color that's been kind of all these very bright primary colors have been kind of in, I feel like, in the past couple of days. I bought this at Cleo's yarn shop in Brooklyn almost a year ago maybe, because I remember it being summer and kind of hot when I went to go buy this. So good to have used it in some capacity finally. But this is a finger weight yarn, this one, HelloMello. And then this is Brooklyn Tweed. I believe it's Loft, Brooklyn Tweed Loft. It's also a fingering / sport weight yarn. I think the primary reason why I bought this to match this was because, well, one, I didn't have enough of this yarn to create something by itself from. Although, looking at the volume that is left, I'm wondering if I couldn't have done it, but I think I could have maybe squeaked out a bigger project, or yeah, I don't know. I have enough of these to make something else out of, so I'll have to do a little bit of measuring to see what I can make. Maybe a matching, no, I was gonna say matching shorts, but I don't think this is enough. The way that this yarn is kind of spun is a lot more loose, but I feel like these have very similar qualities, but this one is just spun a little bit tighter, so the texture on this looks pretty much the same, but I think just in some parts the green is a little bit more holy, a little bit more sheer than the white. But then I used 4mm needles to knit this whole thing, so I didn't do any stitch modifications or anything. To be fair with you, I of course didn't really gauge swatch, because that's just how I roll. But I figured with the amount of ease that's in the Cloud Blouse pattern, I figured it would work out, so that's how we ended up here. So with this Cloud Blouse, a couple of things. I think the yarn choice, I think it was pretty good. Like, it makes a nice fabric. It's pretty, you know, it's not so dense, but it doesn't, how do I say this? The end result isn't very sheer, because I was kind of afraid that using, you know, fingering weight yarn for a DK weight pattern would make this too holey, too sheer, yada yada yada. I don't think I really have that problem. Like, I could wear like a dark colored something underneath and it would still not show through, I think. Today I'm wearing a white t-shirt. However, even if I wore something like black, like a black bra or something underneath, I don't think it would show. And then another thing, with the fit of this blouse, I got the blouse pattern over the sweater pattern because I just thought like the fit and the gauge would match better. And I do think that is true, but then I have to keep on reminding myself that this is a blouse pattern. So I think it's definitely designed to be worn with not anything like a t-shirt underneath, because if you look at the arm, it doesn't have a lot of room. Like, this is, if I just pull it back, this is like my arm. So the depth, the armhole depth isn't as big as I would prefer for like a sweater. Like a sweater, I would think I would layer other things underneath. Maybe I'll have a button down underneath or yada yada yada. So I think I actually hit the amount of ease correct. It's just that I've been wearing this with like something underneath, so it just, I feel myself like having to like pull and tug a little bit, which is like not very ideal. So I think next time I wear this, I would probably wear this without something underneath and see what happens with the fit of that. Although I do have more qualms with it. I think overall, like, now that I've worn it out a little bit and it's had some time to, you know, mold to the body or whatever, I do not mind the fit as much. But when I first finished it, before blocking and after blocking, I was like, uh-oh, I don't know if I'm gonna wear this a lot because of the aforementioned armhole depth. But then the body itself, I feel like it probably also has something to do with the way that this blocked out as well, and then how it fits around like torso, because like obviously your torso has like more depth than your shoulder region. So the shoulder area almost dips lower, like it comes down lower on the arm than it does on around your like body, if you know what I mean. So it makes this like inverse, like trapezoidal shape almost, and I don't know how I feel about that. Like, it feels a little, I don't know, I wasn't really feeling the fit initially. Now that it's had some time to kind of like form more of a drape, I think it's better. But the original recommended yarn is like a mohair, like couple mohair strands probably held together, so it's supposed to be more flowy, like lightweight. And I would imagine if it's not like a wool, like I chose 100% wool fingering weight, if it's the original recommended like mohair or like alpaca or sori that has like more drape to it, it wouldn't be as noticeable, this like fit issue. I think it's just the way that the pattern is designed, because I was like, did I knit wrong? Okay, so I originally thought that maybe this was like a row gauge problem, that the arms were so small compared to the body, but I looked back at the pattern pictures and I think that's just the way that this is designed. So keep that in mind. Maybe you want to compare this fit to the cloud sweater and then go for that one instead if you like more space in your arms. Also, the additional of the horizontal stripes here makes the shoulder area just like look wider, and then the drop shoulder seem more prominent. So that's like another thing to keep in mind. Maybe this wasn't the best pattern to have a drop shoulder like this, or maybe this wasn't the best pattern to have a striped look to this, but I don't know. Those are just like minor nitpick things. I think like overall it turned out pretty good. Let me show you the, what is this length? All right, so I'm wearing high-waisted shorts here, and this is the biggest part of my bum, and it covers that way. And normally with the length of a sweater and stuff, I just like eyeball it. But this time I measured exactly to what the pattern suggested. Like I think it's like 50 centimeters from the back of the neck. So this should be like exactly what the pattern is designed to, the length that the pattern is designed to be at. So that's what this would look like. I almost wish that I would have done a little bit more length on the sleeves. They are plenty long, but I just really like long sleeves, I guess. So I keep going like this. Like I keep tugging and I feel like a, you know, like I feel like a scene teenager, like pulling out the sleeves to make them longer. If I knit the Cloud Blouse again, I think I would choose a different yarn. Something with a little bit more drape. The wool did a nice job of filling out the stitches. It really like went. So it's not, I would say that it's atypical of the yarns that I chose are kind of like atypical of fingering weight yarns, like because they were a little bit like looser spun, so they had the space to kind of like fill in the blanks a little bit. So the gauge actually turned out a little bit not tighter, but a little bit more filled out, I guess, than I intended. I thought this will be more see-through or like more loose and have a little bit more drape, but yeah, it's not bad. Overall, I'm happy with it. I did have to make a modification on the neck. After I made the modification to the neck, I didn't have time to block out the neck separately, so maybe that'll alter how this looks. But if you look from the side, you can kind of, I don't know if you can tell, you can kind of tell that there's a little bit of bunching on the neckline here. That is because when I originally picked up the neckline to the suggested pickup rate in the pattern, the original pickup rate is every single stitch all the way around the neck hole. The neckline was just so wide. It was literally out here, and then you could see the undershirt, and I was not really about that. I understand, like, from the pattern pictures itself, the neckline is designed to be a little bit wider, and I obviously know that because I chose it for that reason. But the funnel neck, as the pattern calls it, I think it was just too wide, and I don't know if that has something to do with like the gauge of my sweater, or if it was just literally designed that way, or maybe I just didn't like knit tight enough when I first picked up, but it just didn't look good. So I ripped it out, and then I did a different pickup rate, which is this is 2 stitches every 3. What? How do I explain this? Pick up 2, skip 1. I think I made the neck a little bit longer than the suggested. So there's that for you. So it looks a little bit more like a mock neck than like a funnel neck. But I prefer this. I just wish I bound off a little bit looser around the neck hole because I got a big noggin and it just barely fits over my head. Yeah. I've been doing this a lot with my sweaters recently. I know it's like, I used to think this looked really stupid, but now I've been converted a little bit. What were we talking about? Finished objects. Oh, I have actually another finished object that I forgot to show last podcast episode. Brain gone. So I forgot to talk about this totally. But this is a sweater that I was working on just kind of free-handed, and the yarn that I used is Caron latte cakes, and I used 2 colorways for it actually. So this top portion is one, and then this orange bit is actually from another. So let me actually, of course I'm not prepared, so I didn't actually look up what the colorways were, but I ended up doing that because I was originally going to do this with just 1 skein. I was wrong, and I could not make a full sweater out of 1 skein of Caron latte cakes, but I didn't also use all of the second skein, so it's like if you had 1.5 skeins of Caron latte cakes, then you can make a sweater this big. And Randomly, the fit of this sweater is very similar to the cloud blouse, but this one also has like a funnel neck that's like larger. But this one is raglan construction, and I just eyeballed it, so I have nothing to really tell you other than maybe like some of the finishes that I did, which I will talk about. So 2 colors were used for this. The first color is Caron Latte Cake's Lavender Shore, and then the second color that I also used is Plum Fresh. So the orange bits are from Plum Fresh, and then the lavender, more purpley bits are from Lavender Shore. So the Lavender Shore definitely has more of this like cool toned purple that's a little bit like neonish, and then it fades into this like more muted purple, and then I realized halfway through the body, or like 3/4 through the body, that I was not gonna have enough yarn, so I ended up switching over to this more muted purple from Plum Fresh, and then I just started like cutting up parts of the yarn to like redistribute the orange pops. So that's basically what happened here, but I think I like how it turned out. It's not like the greatest thing that I've ever done, but it kind of feels like a snuggie. Is a snuggie a thing outside of the United States? I'm not actually sure, and I probably should put this on without the other sweater underneath, but I just want to show you like the sleeve length and stuff. The sleeve is a little short and it's very tubey. It's because I didn't really do like a ton of decreases. How do I feel about that? I don't really care actually. But so the fit is like just big, and I like that because I wanted it to feel like a snuggie and something to wear at home, like if it got too cold or something. Not that it will be getting too cold anytime soon for the next couple of months, but you can see how wide the neckline is here. So I might put in a little bit of elastic, see if I can close that up. But yeah, it has a lot of fit issues because I self-drafted it and was not really doing anything crazy with it. So it just looks like a tee. It's not the best, but that was the outcome of this. I knitted this because I wanted to wear it to a concert, and I did wear it to the concert, so mission accomplished. And I like the eyelash ness of the yarn. It feels very nice on the skin. I think this will make a really good like baby blanket too, because it's really soft and you can throw it in the washing machine, which is amazing. So I did actually buy another ball of Caron Latte cakes in a blue colorway, so I'm going to try and think of what to do with that. I think I might make a scarf or a vest. I think a vest would be really cute, like an oversized vest. But I think this would be really good for something that goes, like next to skin, around the neck. I really like this yarn. It feels very nice. I will say though, it is very heavy. Not as like dense as some other acrylic yarn stuff that I've made, but it is, and like acrylic and like I think nylon. So it does have like a bit of heft to it. It's a little weighty, but that contributes to the drape of it, so I want to say it's all bad, but this would make a really great blanket or something that really touches your body. And it's not so hot. Like I've definitely worked with like acrylic yarns, especially the ones that have like a raised, like that are designed to feel more like woolly, like so it has that like fake raised texture to it, like fluffy texture, and I've never liked how those felt because they're not like slick, so they feel really really warm, but it's like heavy at the same time, so it has like all the negatives of wool with like none of the positives of acrylic is kind of how I felt like whenever I use those. But this one is super smooth, and it does have this like eyelash bit, but it's not like pokey, so it feels really smooth on the skin, and it feels cooler. So I don't know if this will be really good for like deep winters, but I do like how it feels. So I think it will be really good home wear. Like it could make really good home socks, like sleep socks, and also like maybe sleep shorts if you're into like wearing fuzzy sleep shorts. I am not personally, but I know they make those. So if you're into that you might want to look into Caron latte cakes for the material. And next finished object, I have some. I debated showing these because I had to dig them out of the laundry bin, but I have some socks that I cranked out on the circular sock knitting machine. Oh my god, they have hair everywhere. I'm so sorry. They're nasty. But I wanted to talk about the yarns that I used. So that is why I wanted to show you these. Okay, so the sock yarns for these are both from Hobbii. So this is Hobbii Friends Wool, the sock superwash version. And this is Hobbii Disco Socks in just like the cream white colorway. And then I will leave the particular name of this colorway down below for Hobbii Friends Wool. But it's so electric blue and so cute. So when I got when I actually got this yarn, I contemplated not making socks out of it and doing something else with it because I really like the color, but then it doesn't feel so soft that I would be willing to put it next to skin in like around my neck. So that's why they turned into socks. But I'm really happy with them. With the circular sock knitting machine now, I think I have a pretty good formula for what I want to do with the socks now. And so my favorite method is to do a mock 3x1 rib. So the way that you do it is just every three needle, you just remove one needle. So I have a 60 needle circular sock knitting machine. So like, I don't know what the math is on that, but you know, like, so you work in a base of 4 and then you remove one needle. Capiche? And you work 30 rows, you crank 30 rows, and then you fold and hang the hem before you add back the needles that you took out into the cylinder, and then you just crank the rest of the sock. So this is like a very vanilla looking sock with a little bit of fake ribbing on top. This makes a sock that's like pretty good. It's a little loose still around like my legs and stuff, but it fits pretty well. And I just do like a very basic short row heel, and then I do a very basic short row toe, and that makes a sock. I got into a thing where I can definitely crank out a pair of socks within like maybe 2 hours, which still is like a lot of time. Don't get me wrong, it's like a fair bit of time, but it's obviously faster than hand knitting socks. So with socks, a lot of it is just like, I really like the color of the yarn and I just want socks in that color, and I don't really care about like the lace or whatever pattern of the actual sock. So for yarns like that, I will use a circular sock knitting machine, but if I want to knit something like lace or like something particular, then I will hand knit the socks. So that's what I've been doing with the socks and the circular sock knitting machine. And I think I cranked like 100 rows for the leg, and then I do like 60 for the foot. But you know, results may vary. That's just what I do. And I like really long socks, so that's another reason why for me circular sock knitting machines are kind of clutch, because like doing the leg can feel like a drag, and a lot of the times that's why like my hand knit socks turn out a little bit shorter in the leg, and I like that definitely prevents me from wearing some of them because I like long legs. So that's another reason why I have this guy. This one's just mock rib all the way through the leg and then the top of the foot, and this makes it fit much better in the foot because it's, you know, just a little bit tighter throughout. But for the disco socks, that one comes in 100 gram like balls. So you could definitely make 2 very long socks from the Hobbii Disco Socks yarn. And this one, I still have a little bit of the yarn left over. Same with this guy too. So you could even go longer, I think, if you were willing to make very, very long socks, which these are already fairly long, but I kind of scrunched them down for like that look, ballet core look or whatever. They've worn pretty well. They go in the washing machine, no problem. These 2 Hobbii sock yarns. The blue one does have a little bit of bleeding because of the color, but it's not so dramatic that I can't wash it with anything else. Especially this one, I worn a couple of times already, and I do not... there's a little bit of felting on the bottom of the foot, on the heel, but it's not so severe. And I've worn them with like sneakers. I put my socks through the wringer basically, and then they have held up very nicely. So I would say that I definitely recommend the Hobbii sock yarns, both the Disco Socks and the Hobbii Friendswool. And I've also used the Dolce dot sock yarns from Hobbii, and that one also doesn't felt. So I really like all of the sock yarn options that Hobbii has to offer, and they're very affordable. I've definitely worked with some sock yarns that are bougie and very expensive and do not hold up. So I think for sock yarn, this might be one of my go-tos in the future. That's all the finished objects. I have a couple of work in progress things still. Nothing new casted on, so you have all seen this already, but the list is dwindling, let's say. I'm going to talk about this really briefly because I have no updates. But this is my zipper cardigan by Cookie the Knitter turned mock Patagonia Retro X jacket. As you can see, it still does not have sleeves. Yeah, I just have put this on the back burner as I work on some of the other stuff. But for the next episode, I hope to at least have the neck piece done and then maybe start on the sleeves. I'm going to set my expectations nice and low because I haven't had a lot of time to knit in the past couple of months, really. So yeah, that's gonna be that. This will be very exciting once it's done because it's humongous and I can't wait to just rot in it. Oh, and this guy knit up in Plotulopi, and this is actually Hobbii Friendswool. This is the thing that is the socks. So that's where this little bit of blue came from, if you were curious. And I really like the color. I held it double. And then the bottom is Barocco Vintage, I'm pretty sure. The next one that you have seen already is the Rhodes sweater. This is a pattern by Ozetta, and she is looking good. We love her moldy baloney colorway. It's giving penicillin and it looks really cute. So I have finished the body. Everybody clap. I took this on the Los Angeles trip as well, and so I got a lot of knitting done on the plane. The body actually is longer than the pattern suggests. I don't know how that happened. It just, sometimes you just forget to look at the pattern and you just keep knitting. You see this nice and long ribbing edge and then the curled stockinette edge. The rolled hem must be really popular. Maybe I am like self-selecting for the rolled hems, but I got that on my self-drafted sweater. That's on the cloud blouse here. And now it's on the Rhodes sweater. I don't know, maybe the rolled hems are just taking over my life. But this is how this looks. I am using the Hobbii Winter Glow held together with a Colourmart alpaca silk. So a fun thing about this sweater, I got to the edge and I was looking up like what the needle size should be switched to for the ribbing here. The answer to that is you knit the ribbing with the same needle that you use to knit the body, so that it maintains a not a tight look but like a very straight look. And then so I got to the edge and I was like, okay, let me see if I need to change my needle. And then I took a look at my needle size and I was knitting in 4.5s the entire time. I can't remember if that was something that I did intentionally. I'm pretty sure I didn't do that on purpose. What the pattern suggests is 5. And I knit this whole thing in 4.5. So I haven't blocked this yet, but once I block it and measure it and finish it, I will tell you the final measurements, because I'm kind of curious to see like what happens with that. I'm knitting the medium, or whatever the number correspondence to the medium is. Like maybe it's the 4th or 3rd size. And it's like big. I know the original pattern has a decent bit of positive ease to the pattern, but I feel like maybe like the gauge isn't that different from what's suggested. I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out. Because I got to the end and I was like, oh my god, Jenny! No! But yeah, now I'm going to move on to the sleeves. The sleeve hole is very large. Very oversized. And I think, you know, that is a ozetta kind of signature. Lots of positive ease on the patterns. But as we know with the last purple project that I finished, positive ease isn't always the best thing. So we'll see what happens. Kind of worried about the neckline because it is a little large, but it is supposed to be a longer neck, so maybe like it'll tighten up because of the pickup rate and stuff. But yeah, the fabric that this makes though, very nice. I think the color combination of like the more purple alpaca fuzzy yarn that's being held with the winter glow kind of like knocks it out to be a more lavender. Because like really, like if you just look at winter glow, the colorway that I chose, it's really giving moldy salami. I mean, it's great. I like it. But I think the purple just makes it a little bit more mysterious, if you get what I mean. A mysterious haze, a fog, if you will, rather than moldy bread, Jupiter. It's also giving like planets, you know, the color. I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm excited to finish it, and by the time that it's done, it'll be hot. It'll be great. This is kind of a acquisition / future plans, whatever to talk about, but I have this cool little swatch here. Ooh, everybody marvel at the lace, please. Give a clap for the lace. Oh my god, beautiful. This is a project that I've actually been wanting to do for a really long time, and I just haven't had the guts to do it. This is a swatch, I know, rare swatch for me, for the Kielo knitted cardigan. And this is a free pattern actually that was released by Novita Knits. And I downloaded this pattern a long time ago because I saw a creator on Instagram. I'll link her thing down below. I think her name is Adele. She made a version of this cardigan in this like cream color, and it looked really nice. It looked so delicate, so cute. So I wanted to make a version of this for a really long time, and I was debating like what yarn to use. Originally it was going to be pink and blah blah blah, but I decided on this white color because I have this fuzzy alpaca, heavy lace weight alpaca and silk from Colourmart, and it's just this like very nice white color. It's very neutral white, I think, not too bleach, somewhere in between like a white and a cream. So I had bought this expressly because I wanted to make a knitted something for the wedding. Originally I wasn't going to do anything because man, it's stressful regardless of if I'm going to be pressuring myself to make a knitted anything for it. But then I think it'll be really nice to just have something that I can wear as part of the festivities, and also like, you know, for the vibes. Why not? So I decided that I was going to make, so I bought this to make something. And then I was like, oh yes, that Kielo cardigan. Like I wanted something lacy, I wanted something light. So I just thought the pattern would be perfect. I'm going to be making a couple of modifications. I haven't decided how I will do that yet. But it'll come. It'll come to me. The visions will come to me as I work on the project. But the project is knit bottom up, and I'm going to be probably doing a provisional cast on to start at the lace, so that I can decide what finish to do at the end when I've done like all the major knitting, I guess. The original has a scallop button band, and then it has like a thicker kind of like collar around, like rib collar. I don't know if I really like that. I love the scalloped button band, but I might decrease the length of it so that it looks a little bit more delicate. And then for the sleeves, I'm definitely going to be lengthening the sleeves and then continuing the lace pattern instead of switching over to the rib. And I'm probably going to do either just like a regular straight sleeve so that once worn it kind of like flares out around your hands, or I'm going to be doing some sort of like bubble, maybe balloon sleeve, question mark, who knows, I don't know, I haven't decided. But definitely I think this will look really cute with like pearl buttons or something, you know, or like even like silver buttons. Oh my god, ideas. So this is the yarn that I started with, and then I was like, okay, well this is nice, but I don't want it to be like just fuzzy lace. So I wanted to hold something with this. And then I was kind of like looking online, like, okay, well, do I want to do like something 100% silk? The answer was yes. So my first option was knitting for olive pure silk, but I didn't want to do that because I've worked with it before and I didn't love it. I just didn't feel like it would yield the super flowy lacy result that I wanted, because that yarn is fingering weight, and then so like held with this it was going to be like, you know, like sport weight, and I wanted something that was light. So I ended up with this silk yarn from Knit Picks. This is 100% silk, and it's the Knit Picks Luminance. It comes in skeins like this, 100% mulberry silk. And it's interesting because it's, oh, also this is in the colorway Purity, so like white. The naming Purity kind of gives me the ick, but anyway. This yarn is very interesting because it has like amazing, it's very glossy, as you can see, like compared to like something like this. It's very shiny. So this and the fuzzy thing put together in the swatch, I don't know if you can tell, but in real life it has like a bit of like shiny luminescence to it. It catches in the light. It's really nice. And it makes this like very open kind of fabric. I knit this on I believe 4mm needles. So this is like what I wanted. It's very perfect. I am very pleased with the swatch. So I'll be going ahead and doing something like casting it on. I'll probably have to do it soon because like I only have a couple months. And I wanna finish this as soon as possible. So I'll be doing that. But reading the reviews for this yarn, a couple of things kind of worried me because it said that this kind of pills and felts very easily, and I can see why. It's super smooth, but it's not the kind of like cool silk that you would think of. It still has like, it almost has like a brush texture to the silk. It's strange. So it doesn't feel just like, definitely doesn't feel like as dry as knitting for Olive Pure Silk or some of the other like silk yarns that I've used in the past. So this one, I think I would not recommend that you knit this alone. You would definitely want to hold it with something else. And I think, you know, doing a very thin alpaca or maybe even doing like a very thin mohair or anything like that, holding it together would yield a very nice result like this. Or maybe if you want to hold this as a yarn that you work with like another wool or something to kind of give it like a bit of shininess to the garment. I think that could be an interesting thing, but I would not knit alone with this. And also this is apparently horrible to unwind if it gets tangled, and it doesn't work nicely in cakes, I heard. I mean, this isn't a cake form, but they suggest putting like something in the middle. Like I just folded up this tag and then like put it in the middle, but having a core that the yarn wraps around so that it doesn't like collapse on itself, because when it does, you might be in for a bit of trouble. But I bought 3 skeins of this, and I think that should be enough. So keep an eye out for that. At some point I'll have a cardigan in this pattern. Lastly, I have a couple of acquisitions, 2 actually. Well, one I'll just talk about because I don't have it with me because it's like set up in my room. I bought a new ball winder because I used to have a plastic Knit Picks one, the purple one, and then rest in peace my guy. I put it to use for a couple of years and then it finally took his last breath. And the gears, I guess, just kind of like wore out, and it just wouldn't. When it spun, it would make this like horrible creaking sound, and I was like, oh, I gotta lay her to rest. So I bought a new, more heavy duty yarn winder. I did a little bit of splurging. A splurge. I was kind of torn between getting a big like wooden ball winder versus the one that I got, but I got the Stanwood Needlecraft large metal yarn fiber wool string ball winder. It's really heavy duty, and the clamp is nice, and then I like that it's, you know, metal. When turning the gear, it feels very nice. It's very controlled, the turning. So so far I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, we'll see if it breaks down or anything in the next couple of months or whatever, but so far I think it's doing a much better job winding my yarn. It winds my yarn much more evenly, which is very funny because I never thought about, you know, spending a lot of money on a ball winder, but now that I dropped the big bucks in it, it's pretty nice. It's a little bit of a game changer. Just a little bit, not that much, but it definitely winds the cakes like a lot tighter and a lot more evenly, so my cakes end up looking like it's just better. The last thing that I wanted to talk about, because this was a gift from a friend, so shout out to his family, but this is the Allegrezza DK 100% fine merino wool from Simple Hill Farm, Rockingham, Virginia. This is a natural plant dyed yarn, and it's dyed with indigo, weld, and marigolds, which I thought was really nice. You know, it's just like, it says it's peacock teal. It's not really giving teal. It's more like green, just, you know, like a muted green, bluish green, which is nice. But my friend, he lives in the DC area, and then he went to the Maryland Sheep and Wool, and he got me a skein of this. So thank you. I'm going to be putting her to good use. I'll probably use it in a color work. I'm like infatuated with this idea of like tulips right now, so maybe this could be the green part of like the tulip, and then I could use a different point color for the actual tulip like bud itself, and then it could be like a color work yoke. I'm sure that pattern already exists. And I want it to be a yoke style. I know Florence just is testing a yoke style like floral sweater, so maybe that could be a contender, and I use this. Or this could also be a hat. Who knows? But thinking about what to do with this guy. It feels very nice. Anyway, that's the end of this probably month's podcast episode. Let me know what you thought about the projects. What are you guys working on? Are you gearing up for summer? I'm also gearing up for summer, but I have a video in the works that where I will talk about one of the projects that I hope to accomplish this summer, but we'll see how that goes. So that's a little bit of a sneak peek into my brain process right now. I don't know if that video will go up before this one or after this one, but hopefully everyone's having a nice day wherever you are in the world. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.